reflect on some of the ideas he has spoken about. So, we have you can see all the different universities, countries, regions. So it's time to take stock and reflect on some of the ideas. So as Professor Chan mentioned, the IDC theory was developed, to me was like something like 10 years ago. So it's time for us to sit back and think about, if technology advances, with better understanding, how do our ideas of IDC have evolved. So from Professor Chan, yes, talk about the extension towards thinking about the educational goals, the visioning, educational futures in terms of the higher goal. So, so we want to look back at some of the ideas, look at the ideas of seamless IDC, look at the implications about extending this towards thinking about what kind of education we want for the future, and also think about some of the challenges and opportunities. Think about opportunities first, and challenges with having such visions of education. So, so we have the educational future, and then we have something we have been developing in this community for some time. The IDC. IDC is, as Professor Chan has founded, is really about 3 loops, trying to start from interest, generating interest from students, interest loop, and talking about the process of learning, which is a creation loop, creating artifacts which the students can stage, reflect upon, and then lastly, making all these as routine practices and habits, so that make this as very routine. And then the notion of seamless coming later. So seamless learning in which we think about learning in different contexts. You learn in one context, you switch to another context. As Looi always said, it's recontextualizing. So with this notion of learning, how does it integrate with IDC theory? And together with this theory, does it help us to envisage the kind of future, like a future where it emphasizes a lot of harmony and well-being? So these questions are posed to the panelists. The first question, first 3 questions are kind of response to Professor Chan's talk. So are we prepared to talk about global educational goals as a research community? What would be your top 2 educational goals in your mind? And how do you actively move towards such vision? The next 3 questions, 4, 5, and 6. So this is where we reflect upon what we've been doing. So what are your current perspectives of IDC and the seamless IDC theory? Question 5. So how do we, in light of what are things happening, for example, AI coming on strong, how do we make them flexible enough to remain relevant? And the third one is, you think about SIDC, right? How does it help us to lead towards the thriving educational futures? Okay, so I think we have less than an hour for the panel, but we'll do it. So I invited the speakers, each of them will take about 5 to 8 minutes, and then we have discussion from Professor Kong. Okay, so and then some open discussion. So you see the chairs line up here. So I think you get the panelists to sit here after they are presented. So the first panelist, Professor Wang Hongwai from Beijing Normal University, is unfortunately not able to be here, but he has prepared a video. We'll show his video first. Okay, so please.
To participate in the ICCE 2023 conference. As you know, this is a 31st International Conference on Computers Education. Actually, we are all the friends for this service conference. And this topic is towards a collaborative vision of the design education for awareness and thriving education futures in Asia and beyond. So this necessary lead us there. Actually, I'm happy to join this panel, but because of the emergency issue, I cannot come here to be discussed of you face-to-face. So today I will try to use some ideas, talk about an ICCE to the future learning in terms of active, authentic, and deep learning. As you know, actually I'm a director of Smart Learning Institute at Looi University, and also director of National Engineering Research Center for Cyber Learning Intelligent Technology in China, actually my background is education technology. So we are talking about active, authentic, and deep learning. So if we go back to the ICCE theory, use the drive and creation activity. Actually, this topic is discussed for many years, actually, led by Professor David Chen, Looi, and a lot of high-level experts. So we can see the creation consists of three parts. The stages need to be called imitating, combining, and staging. Actually, this should be a cycle. So if we're trying to relate interest driving creativities, interest is the first concern. Learning activities must be designed such that students are engaged, learning visitors, and are assisted. So it's very important. So I think it also should be sustained and intrinsic motivation imposed, especially in some changes situations. So if we see active learning, as you know, active learning is a instructional-based methodology with an approach to engage students in learning process. It requires students to do meaningful learning activities and think about what they are doing. So the key elements of learning activities, student activity and engagement. So if we see some active learning cycle, we can see some key stages: inspiring, completing, acquiring, applying, and demonstrating. So yeah, actually these five stages can compare to our creation law, imitating, combining, and state. Actually we can see the consistency should be, maybe the right consistency, so it should be connected together. So this is for active learning. Another is to authentic learning. Actually, as you know, because of the textbooks and knowledge are not far from the real world. So authentic learning is very, very important. Another approach. So authentic learning can be defined as a real-life learning. It is a style of learning that encourages students to create a tangible, useful product to be shared with the world. So actually, we can see the key elements of the authentic learning. We can see, maybe 8 elements. So if we compare to the creation activities, imitating, combining stages, maybe you can find the relationship. For example, imitating, actually we should be imitating using the ideas from the authentic context, using authentic activity, and also we need authentic assessment. So if you're combining, actually this is a approach of teaching, or approach of instruction. So the strategy may be collaborative, collaboration, even coaching and scaffolding. Actually this will help the students combining together. And for stage, I think we need to how to how to share this experience to the world. So maybe multiple perspectives, and also we need to send ideas from experts. We need to be expert performances. So also creation activities maybe also very helpful to authentic learning. And also can also we can expand and ideas from ICCE theory. The second one should be future learning. As we during COVID-19 in China, we have a large scale online learning. We call disrupted classes and unstructured learning. So we have another explanation. We use flexible teaching and active learning. So we use the fishbone as a metaphor. If we see the head of the fish, flexible teaching, it means the teaching should be go beyond the classroom, go beyond the 45 minutes. So this will be extend the space and the time. So for students, active learning is the key issue. So it should be self-learning activity. So this is very important for the maybe for the driver, maybe for the force. So I think you can see the fish. For the up, you can see the Dawson field. For example, learning contents, teaching methods, learning evaluation, the learning space. If we see the bulk of the fish bone, we can see that's maybe a metaphor for pelvic fan. For example, digital resources, digital learning support, technology enhancement, and student companion, actually maybe for using technology to them. But the key styles shouldn't be self-paced, multimodal, and central learning. Actually, it quite similar to the idea of personalized learning. So, future learning should be flexible teaching and active learning. And we need the ICCE to support this kind of approach. The last one can be deep learning. Actually, we are trying to embed deep learning in digital pedagogy. So if we talk about digital pedagogy, the key goal should be digital competencies for access and deep learning. It means actually nowadays in some schools, technology-rich classroom, the majority of them will be superficial. Actually, it is just a presentation slides and the student just answer the questions, so it's go far from the real world. So we're trying to use the digital competence for most students, enabling them to effectively navigate digital tools and resources for deep learning experience. So that's a goal. And also we need the digital learning relevance with an applicable digital technology. And then we also we can see the components of learning centered teaching, learning centered teaching and learning. So this should be focused on the evidence-based practice with quality digital resources. And also in future, maybe human being and the data can collaborate together. So we use the synergy between human intelligence and the trustworthy intelligence. So this is a very important issue. I think, yeah, here is the framework of digital pedagogy we just proposed for the sustainable digital transformation. Actually, this framework just presented in Paris in October for a high-level expedited meeting to create a science of learning alliance across the world. So it's very important. Just I share the information to you. Actually, yeah, actually maybe we can discuss more about what's the necessary pedagogy, deep learning, and even maybe we can find some theory in Asia, maybe Asia is studying, that's very important. So I hope the discussion will be very successful. Thank you so much.
So we thank Professor Wang Rongwai from Beijing Normal University for the first sharing. And now we have Professor Hiroki Okata.
Hello everyone. So today I would like to talk about the SITC theory and learning log for support by AI and to find evidence. Yeah. So first of all, welcome to Japan. Okay. In Japan we have now promoting the Giga School project. Yeah, so this is started from the 2021, and all the students have now one laptop PC in all the elementary school and junior high school. Yeah. So this is like this, but it's not just provide the tablets. So we are now starting to think about use the learning of data to facilitate the support by the AI or some other technologies, and also find some evidence for the data. So currently we are now doing research on infrastructure to collect all the data and also the support the classroom and schools and to find to collect data and find evidence. So one of the system is Looi, which is the web-based ebook reader. So the teacher can upload their learning material in PDF format to the Looi system, and then the system automatically record all the reading process. So reading is the very important, that's why I mentioned in his keynote for ICCE theory. Yeah. And also we now developing the dashboard to analyze the reading process. So one of the projects in our lab is extensive reading support by ebook. So we upload the more than 500 ebooks for the student in classroom and ask them to read. Actually, they can choose one of the books based on their interest, but but actual reality, it's difficult to ask them to keep reading. Yeah. So why? why? But yeah. So that's why we now developing a system to support to enhance self-direction skill with learning of data. So we can collect the reading process data, and then we can find how the student can actively read the books. Yeah. So the first student should provide set some goals like 20 minutes reading a book for 20 minutes per day or something like that. And then the system shows how students read the book each day and how many time they need, a day or something. And then sometimes they need to adjust or regulate their reading strategies or something. And then make a reflection. Yeah. Actually, the reading performance, reading habit can be established if they set the short plan, both short-term plan and long-term plan. Yeah. So I think this kind of some support is very helpful for students to keep learning based on their interests. I mean, just let them to learn something based on interest is not maybe difficult. It's not easy. In real situations. So I think it's a good combination with the some SIEDC theory and learning is important. Thank you.
So that was interesting. Interest-based reading, when rubber hits the road, you face problems. So and use technology to solve the problem. So now we have Professor John Mason from Charles Darwin University.
Konnichiwa. Namaskar. Any Indians? No. Selamat siang.
Siang.
Yeah. Ni hao.
Ni hao.
Okay. So that's my repertoire today. I'm sorry I don't know any Tetunian or anything else, but we get my slides. Chikit reminded me that I had to give him some slides, so I gave him my slides. I didn't bring them. Yeah, so while we're getting set up, Professor Chan, thank you so much for your inspiring talk. Also, thank you for your leadership over so many years, and most recently with the leadership of IDC theory, the formulation and articulation of IDC theory. So, just as Chikit gets these slides happening. Yeah, it's possible. That's all. Technology cooperates sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't. Actually, I'm a very good usability tester because a lot of things go wrong when I touch them. So. Okay, we're good to go, I think. Yeah, I only have a few slides. So, look, the first comment in response to Professor Chan is that everything you said in your talk resonates very strongly with me, and you articulated that message very cleanly and very clearly, and it's inspiring for me to listen to all of that. And so my comments here I really just, I'm getting down into the weeds a little bit. I'm a conceptual guy. A lot of the time I like to think in concepts. I think the terminology is really important. So there's a few things that I'm going to say about IDC theory and seamlessness as well. So the first few comments about the questions themselves. There's a mix of binary and open questions. I think those first few questions are binary questions. Is the community ready? There's a yes or no or maybe kind of answer. I think the answer to those first few questions are really yes, we can do this, or yes, we should do it. But to the other questions, I think there's a lot of issues being raised here. And for me, when we start to talk about the big picture of the situation that humanity is in at the moment, I kind of see that there's a fundamental human problem that's been persistent since the beginning of time, really, since the human beings have been around. But there's fundamentally an us and them problem, and we need to keep on solving that. And we need to keep on solving it every new day. And every new day there's new material to work with in how we go about doing that. I also think that there's a fundamental human birthright that we need, it's all about having the capacity for discernment. This is where us and them comes from. Discernment is a positive spin on the us and them, and decision making. And I think in terms of theorising, I think as educators we must theorise, and we must continue to theorise, and we need to be increasingly interdisciplinary in how we do that. And of course ICCCE is a computers in education conference. We're not just talking about education here, we're talking about the interface, the engagement, the interaction, the collaboration with computers. And so the digital environment is pervasive. But importantly, the message I want to give here is that the digital environment is much more than a collection of tools. And with IDC and SIDC theories and learning designs, there's an element of learning design within both these theories. They're important, but I think they're situated within an expanding space of theorisation. There are many theories that need to inform how we progress, and so the challenge of theorising is quite expensive. How well? There's a question mark there. I'll come back to that, and I'm really interested in conversation when we have panels. Conversation as well as the presentation. So let's talk about these things as we proceed. But to my main point there, many of you will have seen this quote. Bill Gates gets quoted a lot by teachers. Technology is just a tool. In terms of getting the kids working together and motivating them, the teacher is most important. Well, yes, a lot of us want to think, yeah, that's good. We believe that, but in fact I think it is only half the story, because in the pervasive digital environment that we are in at the moment, we are also tools. We produce data. Well, the data that we produce is harvested by the big tech companies. It's monetised. Okay, so we are in this complex ecosystem, digital ecosystem, and we're servants of it. We're not just the agents. Okay, so that's an important thing we need to be thinking about, the engagement with this digital environment, engaging with the digital environment, engaging within the digital environment. And so to terminology. Once upon a time I used to be a music teacher, and I know a little bit about music, and I know a little bit about harmony. And I know that music is composed of many things, but importantly, it is composed of an interplay between consonance and dissonance. So harmony brings together the sweet and the sweet sounds, but it also brings together the harsh sounds, and it brings them together. Good music combines a variety of sound sources and flows of sound. So consonance and dissonance come together. Harmony is not just about the sweet spot, okay? And I would say the same thing about the word seamlessness. Seamlessness, we would like things to be seamless, but in fact, we learn many things when we have boundaries and barriers presented in front of us. And when we have conundrums that we need to think through and problems to solve, we have this we have this polarity kind of situation of limitation and growth. When we get limited by something, sometimes we can get over that boundary and we grow from that limitation. So I don't think seamlessness is a word that always serves the goal that we might want to achieve here in learning. But I understand the intent of why that word has been chosen. When we're talking about the real world, the artificial world, the virtual world, I understand why it's a candidate, but I would challenge whether we've got the right word there yet going forward. So then, in terms of other things you've said in your talk this morning, Professor Chan, obviously it's all there in what you said, and it resonates with what is also happening worldwide on a global scale. And I would like to say that organisations like UNESCO and OECD, and there's many of them, they are doing a lot of really good things. And this OECD Learning Compass has been around for a few years. It was actually produced prior to the pandemic, and you can notice there, hopefully you can see it on the screen there, you can see that well-being 2030 is very much a goal. So we've had this framework that's in the global domain for quite some time, and it's definitely informed my teaching, working with pre-service teachers, tuning them into the importance of these kinds of frameworks and the way that we think about education and the foundations of education. We all know that literacy and numeracy have been the foundations for a long time. But now, the language, the terminology that's being introduced brings in the social and emotional, it brings in the health, it also brings in the digital literacy and the data literacy. Data literacy is so important. It's not just about interpreting data, it's about knowing what we're doing when we're producing data every single moment. But to this list, and to one of the questions, Kit, that you put up before, the two things that concern me most going forward, I would say, in the curriculum and how we shape what it is we're teaching. I think intercultural learning and critical thinking are so important as we go forward into a much more of a global world, and I think the critical thinking there needs to become ever so much more sharper because of the engagement with AI. And of course, one thing I would say also about the addition of co into the IDC co-creator theory, I think that's a great move. I also think that now that we're engaging with AI, we've got this situation where we have an opportunity for the co-construction of knowledge as we engage in dialogue with conversational agents. So last week, just one more slide, and I was really pleased to see that UNESCO's the 17 Sustainable Development Goals were highlighted previously. I'm also motivated by these goals, and I'm actually wearing this scarf here today. I've got a new friend from Timor-Leste, Agostino, kindly gave me this as a gift, and I'm wearing it proudly today, and I'm showing these colours because I also think we need to pay attention to the education systems and the educational needs in the global south. Okay, thank you.
Thank thank you, John. So it was some of a critic. Seamlessness has its problems. So I think that's a theme that our next panelists will pick up on. Professor Hugh Jung So from Lowa's Women University.
So thank you, Shiki, for the introduction, and thank you, Dr. Chan, for the great talk. So for this panel, I will briefly share my perspectives about seamless learning and IDC theory based on the two questions that Shiki shared in the initial slide. The first question is about my perspective about IDC and SIDC theory, and this is the very nice formula that Dr. Chan proposed in the presentation. So today I will just focus on the educational goals and also the design theory part. So educational goals, as he says, is about why and what we learn. And then he proposed that global harmony and well-being should be our educational goals. And I think all will agree with that. But my first perspective is that the reality is there are conflicts between global and local goals. When I say local goals are regional or maybe the country-specific goals. Think about your country, but the goals are emphasized in the curriculum education. So in many countries in Asia, high-stake exams still govern what is happening daily in the school for teachers and students. Also, think about the national policy goals, and still driven by instrumental and economic logic. So one interesting study I found is about AI policy. Many countries are pushing for this AI in their policy documents, and then this scholar analyzed almost 30 countries' AI policy documents, and he found that most of the policies focus on preparing AI-ready workforce for the labor and based on the economic logic, and then there's much less emphasis about how AI can be used for education. My second perspective is about the curriculum, mainstream and marginalization. So in fact, we do have subjects focusing on globalization shift and interest-driven learning and personal well-being. But these subjects are pretty much marginalized in our curriculum. So I will take my country as an example. So we have this happy education movement. And then also the government proposed this free learning semester program for secondary one students. So these are some slides that you can get the idea. So why the government came up with this happy education movement? Obviously, the students are not happy in their life. And as you can see from this happiness index, the Korean students are very low in the ranking. So free learning semester here, so here free means free from the pressure of exams. So for this one semester or for 1 year, they don't have any standardized exams. The idea is pretty innovative. But the recent studies indicate that this policy, very bold policy, didn't lead to happy students. So because this program was superficially implemented in the school. So the next question was about how we can make this theory flexible and relevant. The design theory part addressed how to learn. And he proposed that seamless IDC theory should address this issue. Again, I will share my two perspectives about this design theory. The first perspectives, I think we still have lacking the successful cases that address this seamless or interest-driven learning. Most of the applications that I see successful are pretty much commercial ones, and you probably heard about this habit or routine building apps. So this is the image I got. Yes, this is one of the apps that my students use for her routines. And also, we don't have much ideational resources. This is the term I got from Rich Barron's study about interest development to sparkle students' curiosity and the sustained interest. And also, I think we should pay attention to public perception about seamlessness, this concept of seamlessness. And then he briefly mentioned about ill seamlessness. So that means the learning experiences are overly seamless. Do we want that? The public's raised questions about media addiction and mental distractions and many problems associated with this seamless learning environment. And also the schools are banning the use of mobile phones in the school. But looking at this phenomenon happening now could be the opportunity for us to think about what are the fundamental issues that we should tackle as a community. For example, this study by scholar Looi, and he says that the banning mobile phones in the school, probably we need to think about how we can help students to build good technology habit rather than technology addiction. So based on that, my answer to this question is, SIDC theory should address these fundamental issues or conflicting issues that we face in education, and also through a variety of successful cases that influence the daily life of teachers and students. Thank you. These are the references if you're interested.
Okay, well, Church is preparing. Now it's time to say good afternoon. Yeah, we just passed 12. So, well, prepared from this, I would say, okay. So, well, let's try not to waste the time. But probably we know that, already know that, and Takwai during his keynote speech also mentioned about she and I have been working on this seamless learning for many years, and of course at one stage Hyojung was with our team as well, and also we have another colleague who is attending this conference, Peter Xiao from Singapore. He is also our team member. So we've been working on this for more than 12 years, and I think we are actually in a good position to try to look at the possibility of hybridizing seamless learning and IDC, and more importantly, we try to respond some of the comments John raised and Hyojung raised, or both of them has been quoted what other people say, and also for what Takwai said about this new seamlessness, because we're looking at different perspectives. Even she can probably know that very well because we wrote papers on practical perspective of what just now Takwai and Hyojung and John have been talking about. So this slide actually she could show before, flashed before, but I just quickly give it to you because I actually created this animated slide 10 years ago. Quickly explain what's meant by this seamless learning. We said where and how should learning happen. We have this top left corner where we've been doing all this learning traditionally in classroom. Very formal learning we represent that, and the bottom image we're talking about informal learning out of class, and we're talking about working, interacting with your environment, physical environment. So that's one key point. And top right corner, although it's actually, you can tell it's a Second Life screen capture, but I use it to represent learning on cyberspace. So we have all of these different possibilities to learn, and then all of these different learning spaces provide different types of learning affordances. Some of them are unique. You cannot get this kind of affordance from another space. But so it means that you offer us different types of learning opportunities, but all of these learning or learning tasks that support us different types of learning tasks, but all of these learning efforts could be very fragmented. Yeah. So we can see the scenes between formal and informal learning, scenes between individual and social learning, scenes between physical and digital learning. Yeah. So the main point about why Takwai and so and colleagues, 17 colleagues altogether in 2006, they wrote that paper. Their intention was that when we talk about, we advocate seamless learning, or they advocated seamless learning because they emphasize on bridging these learning efforts so that they are no longer compartmentalized, fragmentized. So that's the main point, key point. Yeah. So that's why with that, we said at least we try to blur the seams. Yeah. So it's bridging. Bridging is a keyword we're trying to highlight. And we recontextualize our learning. So even from community point of view, from social culture point of view, we are trying to do deeper learning. We look at learning, whatever we learn, or learning experience a different perspective, so we can learn, apply, and reflect in different spaces. We can learn, unlearn, and relearn due to this recontextualization. Yeah. So this is quickly just go through what Takwai already and his colleagues all this wrote in 2006 with all these points I raised just now. But I highlighted this point since 2011 or 2012. Yeah, this so not just learning anytime, anywhere, but bridging. Yeah, we focus on bridging, so that they can complement each other in their learning these experiences. And also the point we're talking about, that's why you look at just now that slide, early slide just now. The perspective of seamless learning is very different from the seamless learning which Takwai raised just now, and also what we are talking about use seamlessness we're talking about. Because we make assumption, we characterize seamless learning as always surrounding the technology. But this is not what Chicken and I have been doing the past 10 years. We approach seamless learning in a very different way. So what actually Joanne raised about this seamless learning, because I also recall, that essentially we have another colleague called Christian Raff from Switzerland, a young researcher. He started working on seamless learning since 2015 or so. He actually wrote papers on, they call it Sing-Full learning, which is very much similar to what Joanne said, and also what Hyo-Jung said. Yeah, he believed that seamless is not the main objective. Yeah, the sim is being there, awareness of sim, or they call it sim-aware learning. Awareness of sims is good. So from our point of view, we're bridging all these different spaces. Yeah, but then we're also talking about, we're aware of this difference so that recontextualization can happen. It's unlike the case that, let's say you get the students who read ebooks. Read ebooks in classroom, read ebooks at home, read ebooks at the bus, everywhere. You're doing the same thing, but you're decontextualized from your learning space. So that's not about seamless learning. We don't consider that as seamless learning because you're always doing the same thing. You decontextualize. But seamless learning will emphasize on the contextualization of the learning and recontextualization of learning. So seamless learning is spatial form, seen as a learning notion of its own right. It's human-centric rather than technology-centric. So that's what we have been trying to reframe what seamless learning is about. So the 2006 paper, it was focused on one-to-one mobile learning. Yeah, they want to use one-to-one as the solution. Yeah, and now, of course, what Takwai has been advocating is more on AI, using AI. So this is another way. But for our case, we prefer to look at things that we want students to be able to learn in and out of technology. So we have all these talking about from, that's why I published a paper talking about from designated seamless learning to self-directed seamless learning. We want to nurture students to become the lifelong self-directed learner. But we need to start from teachers' facilitation of seamless learning design. So we have a seamless lesson plan design. We have seamless curriculum. We've done this in the schools, 2 years, 3 years, seamless learning, in and out of school. We want students to move over there. So every type of learning activities could be placing on this continuum. Any point in this continuum is not dichotomous idea of facilitated or self-directed. We want to move students from left towards the right-hand side. So this is also the type of learning I'm talking about. Now we want to look at this. I come back to this IDC. I try to visualize the process and the contextual view of this IDC practice. We have interest, we have creation, we have this habit. So habit, it could be interest triggers creation activities, creation of some of this tangible stuff. And it could be the other way around. It could be creation triggers in interest development. Because it creates something, it triggers interest. It could be either direction. And then maybe both interest and creation are reciprocal. And ultimately, these two come together and you might become a learning habit. Either a learning habit or creation habit. It could be either way, or it could be both. So this is the way I see it. And then if you want to look at this, I was asked a question, this habit of what? It could be learning, it could be this creation thinking. But ultimately, we want to transfer learning and creation to different contexts. So the means that interest could be nurtured and could be incubated in one context, and the creation usually in another context, or habit in even yet another context, or spaces. So we make all these different learning spaces or creation spaces. Maybe creation usually take place in the school because the teacher facilitates it, but it becomes a habit you want to do it at home. And you make use of the home environment, different learning affordances available, to come up with different types of creation, and it becomes a habit of you. And because you have more time to do that, you can do something else. You can search internet to find out more how to solve problems during the creation activities. So another question here, I also raised here. Any interest creation habits, learning spaces, the point I raised just now. This one, because of time constraint, I won't go through, but actually this was developed by actually Wendy. Wendy also in our team back then. So she took the lead to develop this. We can see these are quadrant of 4 different types of learning spaces, in class, out of class, and also plan of immersion. So when we look at plan of immersion, it's actually more teacher or students. So it could happen, these 4 types of activities would happen. And we try to make this simple. That's why we have all these arrows. It means that there are traversed between different quadrants for this. So that's how interest can be nurtured or developed in different spaces. And creation activities took place, and also there's a habit maintained beyond the lessons. And another operation show when we look at this facilitated self-directed learning, the lens of seamless learning, we want to make the most out of their experiences within individual environments. We say learn or do the right thing at the right time, in the right place, with the right contextual affordances. So this is what seamless learning we're talking about. So and also varying the creation and habitual activity. So they solve novel problems in authentic activity. You're having a habit, you not keep on creating the same thing. You vary it, challenge you have more difficulties, you are doing this, and then you have new life experience, you go elsewhere, you see something else, you say, okay, I want to learn from somebody else and incorporate it into my creation activities, I do something new. So to sparkle the desire for intellectual growth, beyond just keep repeating, doing the same thing, exactly the same thing. So that's why we say seamless learning in this is another latest definition, where a person experiences a continuity of learning and consciously reaches the multifaceted learning efforts across a combination of locations, times, technology, and social settings. So adapted from Chapeau's, that was my adaptation. So the main point is that we advocate learning in and out of technology, not always being locked into by the technology. From there, the sim awareness is good. But at the same time, we want to bridge them. But of course, technology, we didn't say technology is bad. Technology enhances your learning. especially AI support you. But ultimately, you still need to interact with environment, interact with humans, and learn. It's not just interacting with technology. Yeah, so because of time constraint, that's all. Just point out. Yeah, okay, I finish now. So this is just a slide I'm talking about emergent contextual triggers. So you make you be able to vary your interest, vary your creation, and vary your habit. Yeah, so that's a main point I'll raise. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lucia. When it comes to the defense of seamlessness, so it's a very broad topic, and so a lot of diverse views from the panelists. Now the challenge of trying to make sense of it lies on Professor Xu Chong-Kong, who will provide discussion comments. Professor Kong.
Did the panel members come out or just around here? Yeah, please join the panel, and when they are coming on stage, I am doing the most easiest job, but also it's the most difficult job because we have all the scholar who has report, and as well as Kawai Chen in this morning provide 1 hour, and I have only 1 minute to round up from all the panelists. Now, I can sum up in just a few words. If you are PhD students, if you are doing research, these principles are really useful. Consider contextualization as a very important point when you are doing some research in education context. Authentic, self-regular learning, active, pedagogical practices, and if you can address the social-cultural issues as Hai-Jiang mentioned, yes, that is something that you can consider. So that's why in Taiwan proposed ICCE reading to more than 1,000. In Hong Kong, we do the coding education promote to all primary schools in Hong Kong with coding education. I think it's contextualized. I mean, in every own region or country, you have your own agenda in an educational context. So Hai-Jiang, let us know that, okay, 3 semesters with 1 in 3 format. Well, you are inspired. Every country, region are doing something good. And the final outcome is how well. Of course, this is a common goal. But how to go there, I can see how well is there, but there are a lot of holes in below, many holes, for you to fill it up. When you fill it up, it is what that why is this morning trying to ask you to join this framework. A lot of hole there. We need many researchers to do more to fill up the holes. So what I can summarize is all I have just talked. So I hand over to the panelists that any response for the ICCE, the seamless ICCE. I think Nong Xiang has done a lot of work together with Chiki and many. I think they summarize theoretically what we can make use of the technology. So the seamless ICCE, I mean the seamless learning definitely is some reference. If you are doing research, I think it definitely has to read this book. And then using the IDC, seamless IDC, as well as the hardware as the framework, the final goal that you can put into that, then definitely I think you can benefit from this morning's discussion. So, Chiki, are you going to? Yeah, we have no more time. Please ask the panelists to make a quick response. Yes, please.
Since we are in the lunch, we have only one comment to the seamlessness, and I want to do that in quoting a poem from Leonard Cohen. There is a crack in everything, that's where the light comes in. That's
Thank you. Yeah, please.
First of all, my name is Prasalin. I'm a PhD student. First of all, wonderful concept of SIDC. that Professor Chen has explained and the panel members. So to me, what I have understood is that SIDC is aware and how of the whole system, and the goal is to take harmony and well-being to that system, to the education system. So that means SIDC is a vehicle, and the passengers that it needs to carry is the well-being and harmony. In another slide of Professor Cheng, he discussed about the human nature, and then Dr. John also discussed about us versus them. So we know in a macro world global system environment, we see that it's a competitive world, it's a us versus them world, it's a survival of the fittest world. In the education system also globally, we see that the performance is based on not on who is more distributing well-being or humanity or the harmony. It is about who scores the best. And the schools prepare for PISA and TIMSS to score the best, not for the interest. So my question is that with this context in mind, that practically world goes for the us versus them and competitiveness, how the vehicle of SIDC put the gatekeepers so that the passengers are harmony and well-being, which is the main goal, and not the us versus them on that vehicle.
Yeah, thank you for the comment. Do you want any panelists to make response to you? Do you want to call any? Yeah, Dong Xiang? Do you want any panelists to make any comment on your? We are pointing to Professor Chen. Chicky.
Thank you for the hard question.
I don't know. I think maybe this keynote and this panel has raised a number of very interesting concepts that we normally don't think about as we do education research. So for me, it's stepping out, rising above, and trying to reflect upon the ultimate purpose, education goals, like what Professor Nabai Chan is talking about. So yeah, it's a process of why, how, trying to reach there, and may not be only strategy, but trying to come up with some concepts together as community we can work towards. I think Professor Koch put it very well. I mean, there's still a lot of gaps, holes there, but we can come together as a community to make this journey together. I think Professor Chan invited us to come together as 100 authors. So yeah, please.
My point is just that we are creating a vehicle, but there should be a gatekeeping mechanism that the thing that we want to get out of the education system, that the competitiveness should be out, and the harmony and well-being should be the message of that vehicle.
Absolutely, yeah. So let's do this. Let's co-create the way forward. Yeah. So a bit short time, so we cannot elaborate, but we can discuss further. So maybe we can end here, and yes, a bit abrupt, but I think you get ideas, and do come and join us in taking this forward through the workshops and panels.
Can we take a photo before we?
Oh yeah. Okay. Thank you everyone for coming, and see you around at this conference.